All right, my friends, how are you today? Aaron here, bringing you some honest astrology for these very intense, watery, emotional, sun in Cancer times right now. All right, so I mean, we've got a new moon coming up. I'll show you the chart. We got a new moon coming up, but it's not even what I'm going to talk about right now. We've got the moon here in Taurus going to conjunct the sun over here. But right now, before we even get to that new moon, we got the sun today squaring the ecliptic, the north node and the south node, okay? We have our emotional moon caught in between the future and the future of ourselves and the past of others, our past relationships that we've held on to that no longer serve us. This is us walking around with a colostomy bag and talking about it with all of our friends and all the people in our life, of all the misery and all the things that have happened around our time, of why it is hard and difficult for us to heal, to grow, to learn new perspectives, to change, to get out of life what we desire. Okay? This is a very, very crucial time. This is a very intense, emotional time right now, with our sun squaring these nodes, as well as Mercury is moved into that 0 degrees, 1st degrees of Leo. So Mercury, of course, deals with our mind and our communication. And Leo is the heart and home of the sun, okay? This is the hearth that keeps on burning, the fixed fire sign, that sun that just keeps on burning. And arguably, debatably, the sun would be considered our most important element of all the elements in nature. Could be, depending on who you're talking to. But we adore the sun. Without the sun, life as we know it might not exist. So when any energy moves into Leo, it takes on a personified glory, okay? Meaning there's a lot of energy there that's saying, like, look at me right now. If you know Leos generally like attention. That's not a bad thing, right? They have a lot of energy and a lot of external, like, yeah, let's go world. So right now with Mercury, our mind inhabiting Leo, with the sun and Venus over here in Cancer, not only is the sun square to the nodes, squaring 2 different elements right now, but we also have Venus making this trine to Saturn, okay? And this is discipline, and this is where our emotions and our imagination and fantasy are coming to a head, okay? And then, of course, we have the moon as well moved into Gemini today, creating this sextile over here to Mercury. So that means our minds are particularly ramped up. It's like the little, you know, someone just turned that little wheel and it's go, you know, and our minds are just racing. And what could our minds possibly be racing about? There's a lot of change happening right now. There's a lot of change happening right now. There's a lot of, we hate the patriarchy. We hate the old traditional ways. Or maybe not even hate, that could be a strong word. Maybe we want to eradicate or change these older traditional ways. We want to change out of these things that no longer serve us in time. Well, thankfully, we have our big brother Uranus, big sister, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. Uranus is over there in Taurus, trying to help things out, trying to change things. That rototiller that I've been talking about, we have this green grass, we need to turn it into a garden. Uranus is there to turn things on its side. Uranus is there to change the tradition and to create a new tradition. Okay, this is extremely important right now, as we see a lot of new tradition coming. And I can't speak to all the other countries in the world, but the United States is kind of the mutt of the world, okay? And we have a lot of information that gets filtered into the United States. We have individuals, pioneers, entrepreneurs, as well as people from other countries so individuals leave this country, go to other countries, bring back yoga, knowledge, food, whatever it is, ceremonial stuff, you know, whatever it may be. Individuals go out and they come back and they bring some of this information here. As well, we have those others from their native lands come here and share information as well. So America has this big pool of information. And then we're caught in our minds right now of who is allowed to share that information. So I'm just gonna start talking about it all right? We are caught culturally in what do they call it? Cultural appropriation. which is a very fascinating thing. It's like, you know, back when Alan Watts was doing his thing, it was like very adored. That's like, wow, we're sharing information. You, pioneer, entrepreneur, have gone out to these other places, learned this wisdom, and now bringing it back here to share with us. You know, and it wasn't necessarily like, oh, you got that one part wrong, Alan. Actually, the way that they practiced this method or did this, you know, it wasn't quite like that. People were open and listening because we wanted to learn something new. Well, right now, we're very nitpicky on one another and how to do that. As an American, it's like almost saying like you can't eat any other food besides what's in your country, which is a really strange thing to say. So it's like saying if you're an American, you can only eat American food. That means no pasta, no Mexican, no tacos, no whatever it may be, right? It's just like, well, that would be appropriation. That's appropriation. Or you can't bring yoga here and do yoga. You can't bring, you know, traditions from the South to the North. And no, we can't do that. It's like, well, this is exactly what the universe is telling us right now. Okay, but we have our minds made up. And of course, our emotional moon is emotions. And of course, it's conjunct Jupiter right now. So there's a lot of thoughts going on, a lot more thoughts and emotional thoughts. And our emotional sun's square to these nodes. Where am I going? Where am I coming from? And I'm caught in the middle with I'm feeling all of this stuff. And it's really easy to blame other people for where I'm at in life. It's really easy to blame my parents, my old boss, my ex-girlfriend, whatever it may be, your ex-boyfriend, your ex-girlfriend, your parents, your boss, for wherever you're at in life. Now, this is something I've been talking about here for several months as the nodes have been, it's been about a year that the nodes have been here in Aries and Libra, okay? So all of this information here about our minds, our emotions, our minds, our emotions, our minds, our emotions, our minds. And now with this Mercury moving into Leo, this is saying you have the freedom, you have the expression of the sun. And your thoughts and your opinions are lighting the world, which, my friends, is completely egotistical and narcissistic. I don't mean to be rude, but we have to talk about facts that our brains are not the center of the universe. Our minds are not the center of the universe. Our thoughts do not dictate and control the thoughts of everyone in the world. That's a very dangerous game to play. So it's very hard for an individual human to say, I know the best answer for everybody. I have in my arsenal, in my playbook, in my playlist, the exact way and order of how things should go because this is what makes most sense to me. We are not the creator. You might have emotions. You are the creator of your own individual life. You're the creator of you're the manifester, the creator of your personal experience. You're not the creator of the universe. And to assume such a title, to assume such power, such responsibility is purely ego. And we as individuals who are participating cooperatively, creating this experience together, we have to learn from one another. We have to live our lives, get out of our minds a little bit more, and follow the things that make us feel joyous. We don't have to have other people believe us. I don't have to have you believe my personal views. I don't have to have you believe my story. I don't have to believe my struggles. I don't have to have you believe my views on astrology. We're here sharing, but you can take these and you can make them your own. Right? You can take the words that I'm saying right now, you can interpret it your own way, and you can share a conversation with your friend that you're going to be able to have better than I was going to be able to have it because of the way that you interpreted the words or you interpreted the message, and the way that you're going to share it with that person is going to reach them better than it ever was if it was going to be me. Right? So we have to be able to take the information that we're receiving, sort of not take it as like mine is like verbatim, like saying my way or my views are the only way is a very, very, very dangerous game. And then when we have right now what's going on with this is election time and we're all concerned. I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm in the middle. I'm a human being in the middle, and I'm an observer, and I see all of my friends, I see the United States, and I see us, we're hurting. both the left and the right are hurting. Both are confused. Both are trying to figure things out. We're all just walking each other home, right? We're all figuring this out. And we don't know better than the Creator does. There is a grand design here that's keeping all of this together, that's keeping Mars where it is, that's keeping the sun and everything where it's at. And I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with it. So the best thing I can do is be me. The best thing I can do is follow my personal joys. And this, like this, astrology is my personal joy. Right? Something that I share that I love doing. It doesn't mean we have to necessarily give back to the community or whatever. It's just like, just do what you love doing. And if that's playing in the sand or follow your joy. It's one of the most important things right now. If I was going to give advice about this particular time, is follow your joy. Uh-oh. There we go. Welcome back. You know, we got Mars here too. We've got Mars creating this sextile to Saturn. Okay, Mars is saying action, let's go, let's make things happen. And here with Mars being in Taurus, one, this is about finances, this is a change of finances, this is an opportunity for us to create an avenue of income in a different way that we might not have been able to in the past. For an example, now I don't really make a lot of money on astrology, I don't do a ton, and I haven't purposely monetized on my YouTube channel, so that way you guys aren't sitting here watching a bunch of commercials all the time. So is a possibility. Okay, there's possibilities. Now, when I was 26, I'm 41 years old right now. When I was 26 is when I watched Zeitgeist, the movie Zeitgeist. This is when I started learning about astrotheology. My favorite topic on the planet is astrotheology, which I don't talk about enough on this channel, unfortunately, but it's coming. But I didn't believe in astrology. I was the center of my universe. My thoughts were the center of the universe. My ego was out of control, to a degree, and you couldn't tell me that the planets had any effect on Aaron's daily life. You could not convince my mind of that. It couldn't happen. We don't know where we're going, and here I am as a nerd sitting here talking about it, flapping my gums, you know, for 1,000 days straight, putting out a video every single day, and then videos for years since. It's just like, we don't really know where we're going. We don't know what's around the bend. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what's in store for us. But we're here. We're here to learn, and we're here to expand, to grow. And that's part of our mind expansion with Jupiter. Jupiter expansion mind right now in Gemini. Now I want to talk about something else. We're talking about the media. Media, as we have Venus here, what we love, want, and desire, our emotions in Cancer. Our emotions, our empathy, compassion, nurturing. Now, years and years ago, when I watched Bernie Sanders run and he got knocked out, I'm going to come back here for a second. There was a lot of folks about Bernie that were like hugs and Bernie hugs, and I loved seeing that, right? Everybody, Bernie was just like America's grandpa or something. A lot of people seemed to love Bernie, okay? And those individuals that were like hugs and support and positivity, when Donald Trump became president, that narrative for hugs and love turned into hate. It turned into hate. It turned into a lot of anger and a lot of aggression. Now, there's this old expression. It's like, you know, you bump into somebody, whatever, you know, they're holding a cup of coffee. What comes out is what's ever in the cup, you know, and this is in our hearts. So if you bump into somebody and anger comes out, it's because anger's in their heart. If you bump into them and peace comes out, it's because peace is in their heart. It's like you bump into them and coffee comes out, it's because coffee's in the cup. You bump into them and tea comes out, that's because tea was in the cup, right? So this is like what's going on internally. So internally, we weren't grounded. These individuals that were saying free hugs and Bernie and all the love weren't grounded and rooted in love. They couldn't have been, because as soon as they didn't get what they desired, out comes anger and hatred and resistance and pushing against. And I've always been a big fan of the Mother Teresa quotes. I will not go to an anti-war rally, but I'll go to any pro-peace rally. And I think this is extremely important for the months to come up ahead. All right, where we're going, I don't know. I have ideas. Are they worth sharing? I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to spread misinformation. All right. Maybe I'll talk about them, but not right at this moment. But it's like, we don't know where we're going. We don't know what's coming. We could be united as a country. We could be united as people. These 50 states could separate. We could separate into a bunch of smaller countries. We don't know. But how am I choosing to spend my day? Do I choose to fill up my cup with love, or do I choose to focus on the hate? This is so extremely important right now. So extremely important with Venus and the Sun in Cancer, both of these creating these squares to the ecliptic. And then, of course, right now, Venus creating that trine to Saturn, and it's going to create that trine to Neptune. And right now, we already have Mercury creating that trine to Neptune because this is delusion. So even though Mercury here is in Leo, it's still creating this, and now retrograde Neptune at 29 degrees 55, the anaerotic degree, okay? This is delusion. Delusional thoughts. This is our imagination, it's fantasy, it's all kinds of things. But delusion certainly comes into one of them, okay? So when we have our minds and our imaginations, now look how this works. This is fun astrology. Follow the bouncing ball. Mercury is in Leo, the heart of the sun. The sun is in Cancer. Square the nodes. So that means Mercury is in partially, not even though it's not squaring, but it's follow the bouncing ball. The sun, which represents Leo, Mercury is in Leo, information. Okay? Mercury rules Gemini. What is in Gemini? Jupiter, more information and emotions. The moon is in Gemini right now. So all three of these are literally unified at this moment, and we're amplifying my emotions, my thoughts, my emotions, my thoughts. They're the center and they're the most important thing. My emotions, my thoughts, the important thing. My emotions, my thoughts, the most important thing. And of course, I'm heading in this direction, and all these other people here are the ones holding me back from me achieving that of which I want, love, and desire. And this is delusional. It's delusional. We're living in fantasy land. This is not reality. You know, it's like, what do you want to create in life? Just one step at a time does this. Okay. I want to talk about media because Neptune in Pisces rules the media. Now, this is extremely important because I happen to work in this industry, and I can tell you a very interesting perspective right now. So not only do we have the Bernie individuals back in 2016 turn into hating Trump individuals. Again, I'm not left or right. I don't care. I've got bigger fish to fry. That's why we're talking right now. So the media, ruled by Neptune, ruled by Pisces. This is my industry. And I've been an audio engineer in this film industry, film documentaries, commercials, television, you name it, everything. I've filmed every single presidential campaign, not with the presidents themselves, but I've filmed every single election in the past 18 years. I've filmed people on both sides, working for the left, the right, and independent. Okay, I'm a hired gun. So I get to hear all of these stories from all the different sides. Before I get to that, this is on topic. I worked on this thing with Matt Maroney, who owns the Ambassador Bridge. A single human being owns the bridge that goes across from Detroit to Canada. There's also an underwater tunnel that goes from Detroit to Canada that the cars, the vehicles, the pedestrians can take, but the big semi-trucks have to go over the bridge, okay? Now, this individual that lives in Detroit, a single man owns this. It's not a bridge that's between two different governments, two different countries. This is owned by an individual person, all right? Now, Canada wanted to create a bridge so that they could save themselves on the import taxes that they're being charged, which is an astronomical amount to come into the United States. Makes perfect sense. Canada says, we're going to build the bridge. Can we, what part can we build this on of your property to get to America? And we'll pay for the whole thing. Now, Matt Maroney created a negative ad campaign and told Detroiters, I've talked about this before, so if you've been following this channel for a while, you've heard this story somewhere in the past. All right, so Matt Maroney created, or the marketing team created a negative ad campaign and went door to door with petitions, sent people door to door with petitions, and implanted in their mind a seed that the Detroiters were going to have to pay for this bridge, that it would come out of their children's college funds. Now, not a single Detroiter was about that. Okay, this got turned down so fast. So I get to work on that. I get to work on these elections. I get to see the negative ad campaigns that most people don't really pay attention to. You just think you're getting information. It's like 90% of the media is owned by 6 companies. 6 companies own 90% of the media. That's a lot of manipulation, my friends. Okay? Now, this industry that I work in, the film world, is absolutely dead right now. We're not filming anything. There's no new shows being greenlit. There's no new things happening. Okay? The only things that are being filmed right now are things that have huge ratings and success. Nothing else is being greenlit or pushed through. Why is this? Because we're in an election year and we have no idea which way to manipulate the people. Because if Fox, ABC, Hulu, Amazon all think the left is going to win and they push the agenda of, we already know what this is, right? So there's the LGBTQ, there's all of this on the left here. Not making fun of anything. We're talking about what it is. All right, there's a controversial biological and language between the left and the right now, okay? Between biology and languages and like the sports thing, these two parties, the left and the right, do not agree on certain aspects, okay? So as far as the media goes, all they want is your money. The media wants your money. They want you to support their cause. They just want your money, okay? So they want to pull on your heartstrings and get your dollar looks better in my wallet, buddy. Okay. So because we are at such a pendulum with, are we going to be a right country? Are we going to be a left country, Democratic, Republican? Is it going to be this crowd or this? Because on the one hand, the biology and language of the left is very different from the biology and language on the right. Right? Very simple. It's just a different method of looking at the world, a different method of thinking, different ideologies. So the media has no idea how to manipulate the mass right now because they have no idea which way this pendulum is going to end up falling. So if Fox, ABC, Hulu, Amazon, all these companies spend money creating programs that are altered to the left and the right wins, not only did they lose their credibility, they've lost millions and millions of dollars, and most likely they've lost their fans. Okay, we have seen this with Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney, and it was very hard to get, Bud Light to get back from that. And then you got a guy like Dana White with the UFC, who is a Republican, I believe he's a Republican. He's on the right, but he endorsed Bud Light. He says, you know what? Regardless of this, I stand behind what Bud Light stands for, and I'm going to have them as part of UFC. Now, that's a leader, okay? That takes a really strong individual to say something like that because a lot of UFC people were really highly against that, okay? But that's the kind of leaders that we need in this world, is to say, look, I'm making a decision based on this, not on the gimmicks, not on this, okay? That doesn't matter. The UFC, Dana White, that doesn't matter. So now, if we push agendas and film things to the right, that are conservative issues and mom and dad and kid, you know what I mean? Like this, like home family kind of a home improvement kind of thing that we'd seen in the 90s. Like if we came back to this kind of television or something, and the left wins, same thing happens. All the people that spent the millions and millions, an insane amount of money, those shows are dead in the water because we're selling to a different crowd. Okay, so basically what's happening is the media has no idea how to manipulate you right now. So they're doing their best to pull out any single thing that they can, and it's working. We are at a civil war with one another. We're at a civil war over language. We're at a civil war over biology. We're at a civil war over, man, it's just so much information. Something else I talked to you guys about before is like the Rockefeller thing. It's like, this guy says, what, I'm going on story tangents right now. That's all right. A gentleman says, what is your take on the women's movement? And he says, of course, it's equality. Same thing I'd say, it's equality. Something that we need. Equal rights between men and women. No doubt about it. The Rockefeller guy laughs and says, no. I can only tax half the population. If we can only tax half the population, now we can tax the full population. And how do we do this? We say that your man's holding you back. Your man's holding you back from going out and living your dreams. You should be out of the kitchen. You should be doing your own thing. So we just need to plant a seed in somebody's mind, and then they go. All right, and now, oh, well, Janie, I can't believe Jim's holding you back from living your life. You know, and it's just like, oh my goodness. And then now we have other women competing and telling other women that they're being held back when it's not necessarily the truth. And then it's just like, okay, well, now we can indoctrinate the children into the schools and take them out of the homes. This is manipulation. We are being manipulated. We have been manipulated for a very, very, very long time. And I'll probably get some, you know, feedback, negative feedback from me sharing some of this. Again, I'm not left or right, so these things don't matter to me. I'm a neutral individual that's trying to navigate this world the best I can with my Libra Pluto at 29 degrees and trying to hold on to this tug of war and still be some sort of a middle ground for humanity. You know, I'm not alone in this, thankfully, but there's a lot of folks there, you know. And so it's like we have to figure out, or at least come to some sort of awareness of the manipulation that we're being, that's on an everyday basis, And not only is this, again, it's just starting. You know, this moves, what, 1 degree every day? So let's move forward days when we get to this new moon here. Oops, let's come back. There you go. So our new moon is going to be at right around 7 o'clock on Friday evening, July 5th, just after the 4th of July, at 14 degrees. And at 22 degrees, Venus, our little planet of love, being washed up on this emotional tides, creating a trine to both Saturn and Neptune. You know, so it's like, what is real and what is the illusion? What is real and what is the illusion? I'm a Capricorn ruled by Saturn. I'm trying to share here what's potentially could be real. Maybe I'm just as delusioned as everybody else is. Who knows? All right. But what I do know is this stuff of the past, blaming all of the past, is not it. And especially today into this week, we have to be focused on our future and what that future is. You know, if you were born between like 1982 and 84, where the eclipse was, is actually where Eris was born, is where Eris was at like 15 degrees around the time you were born in the mid 80s. Okay, so for those individuals that are born in the mid 80s, this is a very crucial time for all of us. As Eris, this goddess of discord, this, you know, how do we handle information given to us? How do we handle it? How do we choose to handle it? I love this old like Native American thing. It's just like, listen, take a moment and just listen, breathe, be patient, be silent for a moment, allow silence to just exist and not create an action immediately. Same with Mars and Taurus right now. Taurus is very slow. Mars is very, very slow in Taurus. It's like, I want to do this right. I'm not going to be back here for 2 more years. I'm not going to be back here for 2 years. Mars loves the earth signs, gets things done. You know, and it's like right now, financially, what can we do to get things done? How can we take a different approach to our finances? How can we look at things a little bit differently and create an avenue of revenue from something that was not there in the past? Similar as I'm talking about this. I did not believe in astrology, had my mind blown open by it, and now here I am chatting about it all the time because it's a huge passion, something that I love. So things can change. Our life can change. Another element of this is simply evasion. Okay, when we have this much emotional energy going on, we can talk about escaping reality. Escaping reality because it's too difficult. It's too difficult to go forward with my dreams or go forward with what I think I want to create, or I will never be able to create the thing that I want to create. Or I will never be the hero. I will never be this thing that I thought I was going to be in my head. I'll never live up to my own expectations. Therefore, I'm going to create a second version of myself that's of a lower social economic mind status. Because I'm a screw up. I'm not good enough. I'm a screw up, so might as well live that life of the screw up. So I'm just gonna keep doing the things that allow me to be a screw up. And then I can feel good in that area. But ultimately it doesn't feel good because it's not really where we want to be. Because we're lying to ourselves. We're lying to ourselves that we're the screw up. We're lying just because we fall, or just because we didn't get that job, or just because we didn't get the partner that we wanted at that time. It's like all of this stuff. Disappointment is really good. You know, being disappointed in reality is a beautiful, beautiful learning tool. Right? And it's like, I encourage us all to be a little bit disappointed in things and like learn from it. We don't always get our own way. We just don't always get our own way. And for this emotional nonsense that we need to have our own way for life to be successful or for us to be good is delusional. I don't want to make fun of anybody, but you got to call a duck and a goose. And when we're talking about the astrology doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're a good person or a bad person. When you jump off a fucking building, you're gonna hit the ground. I'm laughing because I swore. I normally don't ever swear, not because of the nature of what I'm just talking about, right? It's sad. And let's talk about that for a minute. Because when we're talking about escaping reality, and we have so much emotions, the moon, the sun, you know, moon's coming home to Cancer, Venus in Cancer, starting to create these trines. Trines are not always good, right? There's this like element of astrology that's like trine is good and squares are bad. It's like this square holds up this chair. A square holds the legs of this chair really strong. This square makes my oops, not that sturdy, I guess. Earthquake. But you know, squares make things strong because they create balance. Where trines sometimes is easy flow, especially water. There was a big like grand water trine that happened and you get a tsunami or something. Like stuff like that happens when you look back through history of like some of these crazy trines that we have. So we have this crazy water trine happening right now. So it's like when people decide to, you know, I think I'm going to say suicide. Why? Because this channel isn't monetized to where I have to change my words, which is bullshit. That I have to say unalive themselves because are we not mature enough as human beings, or because the advertisers don't want to be a part of a program that someone talks about suicide. So now we have to change our dialogue to appease who? I have to change my words to appease who? You? No, it's not you. It's to appease the people that are advertising on the platform. I don't care. I don't care about those people. I care about you. I care about you. Okay? Most people that try to commit suicide and fail, thank God they did, often say they didn't want to die. They wanted their life to change. And I see you, friends. Like, I see you. I feel you. I hear you. I see what you're posting. I feel your words. And we're confused. We're sad. We're disillusioned. We feel alone in a lot of ways. We're scared in the uncertainty of tomorrow, or what that's going to bring. But the sun's going to rise tomorrow. And as long as we're not stuck in our heads that that the sun isn't going to rise tomorrow, we can figure it out. We can create the necessary change in our personal lives. If we're addicted to something, if it's alcohol, drugs, video games, escaping reality, pornography, if it's I'm addicted to thinking women are the enemy, if I'm addicted to thinking men are terrible, if I'm addicted to thinking whatever it is, unhealthy habits, if we're addicted to these unhealthy thoughts, we have an opportunity to change. We have an opportunity to say my thoughts aren't in control of me. What is me? I'm this spiritual being. My thoughts don't get to dictate me. Other people's thoughts don't get to dictate me. The media doesn't get to dictate me. If all of a sudden tomorrow I didn't have a television, there was no news, no media, no social media, my life would go on just fine. I love it. I think it's Duncan Trussell says there's probably some poor guy sitting next to a waterfall with no phone and no social media, not realizing how miserable he should be right now. You know, it's just like we want to, again, impress in the minds of individuals all these things that we think we need. But do we really need them? What do we really need? We need community. I'm going to tell you this. I watched the presidential debate. This is how I think I'm going to wrap this up. when they talked about fentanyl, because this is what we're talking about right now. We're talking about drugs, man. We're talking about escaping reality. We're talking about we can't handle the pressures of life, and we want to get rid of it. We want to escape. And fentanyl is a serious epidemic right now. We have a serious problem. And when you ask the businessman and the military man their opinions and what we should do about this, the answer, they both had it absolutely wrong. It's community. They're looking at it business and military. And we have the strongest government. It's just like, no. What we don't have is a strong community. What we don't have is a strong community. We don't create traditions with each other. We're creating new traditions right now. We're so hung up on old traditions that we're afraid to create new traditions. This is our age of Aquarius. We're allowed to create traditions now in 2024. We don't have to hold on to the traditions of the past. We get to create traditions now. But we're so afraid of it. We need community. We need more social elements in our lives. We need support. We need men and women supporting one another. We need opposite sides supporting one another. This is how we need people to say, how are you? Are you okay? To just stop all of this and just have a human experience, you know? It's not easy right now. So if you're going through those thoughts of escaping life, wanting to end things, remember you can just end the feelings. We can end these patterns. We can end the addictions. We don't have to end the life. And this community, maybe it's the community in the comments. Maybe it's the community here. If you need to reach out, I'll call you. I swear to God. This is a small enough channel. I don't have thousands and thousands of people. Like, you need help? I'll call you. Email me. I'll call you. If you're struggling, we need each other. So be there. Please be there for people right now. Like, lower the guns, lower the arms, lower the fighting, open the arms. We don't know where we're going. We don't know who's going to win this, but I can guarantee you hate doesn't win. Love wins this. Boy, did I get really emotional here during this last portion of this video. Well, I mean, a lot of emotions going on. My friends, I love you. I really do. I love you. I wish you enough. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a happy new mooning come Friday this week. This is going to be an intense week. It's going to be a really intense week. Communicate. Communicate with another in the comments. Reach out to one another if you can. Support one another in whatever way you can. My friends, I love you. I wish you enough. And we'll see you next time.